Welcome everyone. Thanks for tuning into my channel. Son of Sun Sue here with you to provide a short video describing the different options and mods and so forth that I have set up for my first YouTube Antistasi Ultimate campaign, Chaos in Malden. It seems every Antistasi YouTuber that I watch, there's always comments from folks who want to know what mods did you use or what parameters did you use in the mission setup. So I figured I'd start off and do a short video to explain that for those that are interested. Currently on the screen, you'll see a list of my mods. And don't worry about copying them all down. If you look down below in the comments, there will be a link that has all of the mods listed, and also a link to a Steam Workshop item to where you can download those particular mods. With that, first thing to start off with, just real quick, go through a few of the game options that I use. Not necessarily everything item by item, mostly in the difficulty section. I do not activate reduced damage. I leave that blank. I leave that unchecked. As far as the skill and the precision, I have those set to normal. Now, when it gets down to situational awareness, here's where I've made some changes. On group indicators, I've set that to hide from limited distance. Friendly name tags. Whenever you look at a person, it shows you who they are. I have those hidden. Enemy name tags I have hidden. When mines are detected, I have that set to limited distance that you can see where they're at. I've hidden commands and waypoints. As far as personal awareness, under weapons info, I have that set to show, and that's up in the upper right hand corner that lists your weapon, what type of weapon you have, how many rounds, magazine count, etc. Stance indicator, that's also in that same location, I have hidden. Since I play mostly in third person, I can already see what stance I'm in. Stamina bar, I've disabled, mostly because I don't use stamina. I do have crosshair activated, and I have Vision Aid unactivated. Do have third person enabled, and I do have camera shake enabled. That way, if you're near an explosion or whatever, you do get some camera shakes. Multiplayer, don't worry about. This is going to be a solo campaign. As far as extended map content, I've activated be able to see friendly units, be able to see enemy units, be able to see detected mines, and for miscellaneous, automatic reporting, the dialog box down in the lower left, I do have that activated to where your AI continuously shout out to you that you're low on fuel or there's enemy ahead. And I do have multiple saves activated. So as far as general game items, that's how I have it set up. And with that, let's go over to the Antistasi campaign parameters and show you how I have those. All right, so as far as the Antistasi campaign itself, create new game, use new save method. This one is Chaos on Malden. For factions, we're going to switch override side limits, override camo limits, switch those on to show us everything that we have available. I do not have any DLC loaded other than the standard Arma DLCs. For Rebel Faction, for this campaign, we're going to choose the 3CBF Chernaris Communist Militia, the CCM. My view on using factions, I like using things you normally don't see other YouTubers using. So for this campaign, the CCM as the Rebel faction, the 3CB Eastern European faction for civilians. Since we're on Malden, the 3CB Malden Defense Forces for the occupying force, and for the invading force, the Serrani Royal Army Corps. If you're wondering how these all fit together, there's also a link in the description that will give you the backstory that I've created for this campaign. For additional content, the only thing I'm going to activate is going to be the Laws of War, the Laws of War Vehicle Pack, and the RDS Car Pack. Those are the only ones I'm going to activate. The reason I use Laws of War, especially on maps where the terrain can get rather steep at times, the Laws of War has two particular vans, one a passenger, one a cargo, that are very good at being able to carry an entire squad of 10, and at the same time, in the cargo version, being able to carry a significant amount of cargo that some of the other vehicles don't enable you to do. And also, those vehicles are able to climb steep grades at a rate that a Kamaz or a Ural would never be able to. On to parameters, and we'll walk through the ones that I change. Rebels versus occupiers versus invaders, everybody against everybody with no rival sub-faction. Autosave, disable. Friendly player markers, yes. I do allow fast travel. I try to use that on a limited basis, but we all know that Arma AI sometimes are not able to pathfind correctly, or take the safest or most efficient or best route to a location. So I do try to use that in a limited capacity. Let's see, civilians on server, 10 maximum, 5 per town. Going down the list, initial player money I bump up to 1,000. Faction money I bump up to 2,500. No HR cap. I disable AFK. I disable garbage cleaner. Revive time 16 seconds. I do enable self-revive withstand. And again, that goes back to everybody knows that the Arma AI don't always do the right thing, the best thing. I try to use this on a limited basis the same way that fast travel I try to use limited. Advanced parameters. Normal victory, population death is a loss condition. I disable lose HR on death. I do allow players to recruit AI to the faction. I do not include vanilla weapons in the arms dealer. Notify players when downed. I set that to yes, although in solo mode I don't know what that really does. I do disable stamina and fatigue, and I drop weapon sway to 50%. Let's see. Loot crate gather distance, I bump from 50 up to 100. One person to unflip a vehicle. AI control time limit 90 seconds and 15% penalty on death. On balance options, enemy preference for attacking rebel targets closer to headquarters, I drop 1 to 2 times versus 3 times. Enemy AI skill level, I leave it normal, but I do bump up my friendly AI 1 notch to high. I disable napalm bombing. I don't use napalm in any of my campaigns, nor do I commit any war crimes. I max out the number of rebels that can be garrisoned. I bump that up to 32. And equipment options and loot crate options, I leave all as the standard, except for allow unlocked explosives. I bump that from no to yes. And as far as experimental parameters, enemy vehicle locks I disable right now because I have not had time to experiment with that. I do allow talking to civilians. I do allow player to take control of AI units when unconscious. Again, I use that sparingly. Allow players to recruit AI to their squad. The previous screen was recruit them to faction, which I set to yes. Recruit to squad I have set to no. I've seen a couple people use that, and it looked a little bit confusing, so again, that's something I'm going to have to experiment with. They've also included an option to where you can only start with handguns. I just leave that set to no. And pretty much that's how I have everything set up. The only thing left to do is set a headquarters position. Now, if you look at the starting map, you'll notice that up in the northern portion, you have the invading force has already occupied several spots. The occupying forces are heavy up in this area, so you can imagine there's going to be a lot of combat activity, and I'd like to stay away from that at the current time. The default location is a pretty good location, except for one item is the road that goes in and out of the headquarters location has some significant turns. It's also got trees and rocks. And as far as the AI, if you're trying to have them drive in and drive out of the headquarters, they really have a difficult time with that. So I prefer to start at locations that are fairly straight away, don't have a whole lot of distractions or obstacles or anything else for the AI to navigate. But I do like this area because you've got 3 small towns in the general vicinity that you're able to go from town to town and try to liberate. You've also got resources at a couple of decent locations. You've got seaports, which help you increase the amount of people you're able to go into your HR pool. Now, there are some things. There are 3 outposts and 2 radio towers. Radio towers contribute to propaganda. If you control them, they help your cause. If the enemy controls them, they keep the town against you on a little bit more aggressive basis. So we're looking here. There's one spot in this location. And you always try to have something on secondary roads. There's a nice location up here, but it's right on the borderline, as is this. And I think we'll start off with our headquarters down in this location. Okay, so we went through the factions, the additional content, the parameters. We set our headquarters position. New save name. The only thing that's left to do is get started, and hope you enjoyed that setup. If you have any questions, drop something down in the comments below, and make sure you start that like button. And we will see you out on the battlefield.
War cries out in my heart. No one gets to hear these evil thoughts. No one gets to tell me how to feel. 'Cause what I feel is real.